YouTube? Welcome back to my video. Today we'll be going through the 4 characters that will get a rework and will be featured in the upcoming Divine Odin as the synergy character. So before we get into it, if you like my content today, do consider subscribing to my channel and like the video. And of course, you can consider further support my channel by joining the membership that I set up to enjoy some additional perks and benefits. Alright, without further ado, we'll be starting off with Rude, because that's just how it is. We have to put off the negative unit first. Anyway, Rude started off with some good, not really good, but a little bit more HP dumps on his skill 1, skill 2. His LD get a little bit of rework, especially on the aura part, which I'm more interested in. His EX with the Crystalline upgrade doesn't get any upgrade on the buff itself, but only the amount of HP dumps, and his additional ability is just a little bit all around the place, with the brave damage resist up, and then the overflow, and then the brave gain. So Rude's entire attraction prior to this upgrade was always having a massive heal and massive batteries to keep your party safe, especially from being broken. But in the era where we have a lot of units that could fulfill this role, and some even have battle roles such as Alphanaut having unbreakable status, or units such as Ursula, it can have a max bravery floor for all the party, it kind of made Rude a little bit less required, or I would say less attractive than before when his LD was first released. So his damage is still on the weaker part though, even with this upgrade, and I say that his aura is not as good or as potent as before, especially if you're considering running him as a sole supporter. He does have 100% crit rate if I recall, so it does help if the enemy is unbreakable. Also, like I said, the worst part is since Rude is an aura bot, you naturally want him to actually have more auras to be present in the party for being a support. But there's only rework on his LD auras, although it's quite good, not gonna deny that. It's 40% HP damage up to the entire party and 50% party brave damage up. But the fact that his aura is also a little bit mixed with the brave damage resist up, so it makes him mildly weak. Without the EX buff rework, his EX buff is just a little bit attack on himself, so it's weird. But anyway, if you're planning to run Rude in the party, then you can look into future FR synergy, because Rude is going to be very helpful for units FR such as Iroha and Ursula, which is coming really soon. So the idea of Ursula is actually having to perform the attack when your bravery is at maximum bravery, so that is actually very helpful in terms of if you're running Rude in the party. As long as you kept your HP up, Rude can easily battery the entire party to the max bravery. So this actually helped Ursula fulfill that condition. But nonetheless, we're not going to spend too much time on this side unit. Moving on to Paine, because she's a pain in the ass. Anyway, her skill 1 and her skill 2 has the same amount of HP attack, but her skill 2, her LD and her EX right now has the increased weakness status for her to hit weakness as usual if the enemy has the status break debuff. Again, Paine doesn't get any rework outside of having more HP dumps on her base skill, her EX and her LD. Her additional ability does provide her a little bit self buff with the brave damage cap up and brave damage up. But the fact that her LD buff was so good, you expect some rework into that to make her even better. Sadly, it doesn't happen. So her LD buff is still quite potent, especially the brave gain up part. It was the best brave game up prior to all this BT release. So I think if we consider LD only, the brave gain up part is still the best for Paine. But anyway, Paine requires a placing status where if you place her on the left and on the right of the party, it ventures into different playstyle, whether or not you're going for her buff state or her debuff state. Naturally, her buff state is always more popular because it's easier to maintain and it provides a more a stronger aura to your entire party for a aggressive playstyle. If you're going for Paine, I would say you want units that can help you pump up that amount of stacks as soon as possible to gain the highest buff percentage that she provides. So units that actually have multiple buff at the quest start can actually help you boost the LD stacks as soon as possible, such as Hope. Even better, you can just run Hope as a call and then spam 2 of his call, and then by doing so, you will have Paine being able to actually land her stacks at the maximum stacks really early on. Also, if you're running her on the other side, which is the right side, then you're relying on debuff. So units like Faris, like Gabranth can actually be very helpful in landing all those debuff early on and at quest start. Okay, so again, if you're focusing on the left placement of Paine, then you want to look into that Brave Gain Up, since that's the most attractive part about her left side aura. So units such as Machina, such as Selfie can actually benefit a lot for this. There's actually quite a few runs from people that actually run Machina with Paine, because prior to having Garnet as the first BT character in Global. So yeah, I think Paine is still quite helpful in that department. As for future FR viability though, the only one I can think of right now for Paine is actually Tifa. Most of Paine attack is single target, aside from her skill 2, which is AoE. But Tifa having the condition of needing a critical damage as well as single target attack actually is very similar to what Paine can provide, because Paine always crits since she has that Saddle's Break, and then all her attack will hit weakness, and her attack are all single target. So I think they both synergize really well later down the line. Alright, so moving on from Paine, we will be getting Layle, which is the new, not the new character, but he will be getting a BT plus and his crystal level 90 here. So Layle actually get a little bit improvement on his base skill, a little bit more HP dumps, but his skill 1 does initiate the launch right now instead of just making it easier for you to initiate launch, which is really nice. His HP attack, which is the HP attack that he gained from using his LD, also right now increased the EX recast gauge, so he can spam his EX more often. His EX and his additional ability is just a little bit upgrade here and there with more batteries to the entire party and more HP dumps on his EX. But his BT plus actually extend up to 6 turn right now. It's not too surprised they didn't extend the BT effect for far too much, because Layle's BT effect is actually quite decent, if you know how to use it properly, that is. His BT plus effect though only increase another additional 10% to his party HP damage cap up, and a further 50% brave gain up to the entire party. So that part itself is not really the most attractive for a BT plus character. I would say Layle as a character as a whole suffer a lot for having launches as his main mechanism, because launches right now is just so common among characters because of Selfie. Basically, she ruins any parts of future launches, to be honest, and because of Seed Rain's LD call as well, so Burst character doesn't even have to be afraid of not being able to launch during the burst phase. Nonetheless, if you're trying to run Layle in the party, he does help a little bit in situation where the enemies actually get really fast and you want a full launch, since he's the only one that does ignore the turn count or the turn order of the enemy. Nonetheless, if you're running Layle in the party, FR units such as Cam can actually benefit really well with that full launch. And of course, later down the line, units such as Seed Rain, which requires you to launch as well, can also be really helpful if you're not running Selfie in the party, that is. Nonetheless, I don't think Layle as a character himself is really worthy for you to put your resources on this. But nonetheless, we'll be going for the new FR character, which is Gabranth, which get his FR and his BT+. So Gabranth actually get a little bit improvement on his base skill. Not too much, he gets a little bit attack down as well and defense down on his basic debuff. With his EX though, he does have a free skill on next turn, I guess, to boost the damage or the skill you can use during his burst phase. But other than that, not much changes. He does still re-break on most of his kit. His additional ability now provides a self-attack up, a self-brave damage cap up, and of course a little bit party-wide protection with the HP damage resist up. But his BT, which is his new weapon right now, provides a 30% party stolen overflow up, a 20% party HP damage up, a 20% party brave damage cap up to 50% if you do BT plus him. And then if you BT plus him, he does have additional 20% party HP damage cap up. He also upgrade the debuff that he lands normally, which is the Outlaw brand debuff, into this new debuff called Felon Punishment. Note that this debuff will only be active if Gabranth's BT effect is active. So if it's not in the party or if his BT effect is expiring, then this debuff will go away as well. But this debuff lands a 80% attack down on the enemy and brave poison the enemy at a higher rate of initial bravery, and then provides a 30% HP damage resist down as well as a 50% HP damage down on the enemy for every HP damage they dealt. So it's a little bit on the protection side with the attack down and the HP damage down. So yeah, overall with Gabranth's upgrade, he does provide a little bit more on the protective side, with him landing very crucial debuff to cripple the enemy status. But nonetheless, his FR actually reset all target break status, which means that he will be breaking the target when actually performing his FR, and then he'll leave the enemy into an unbroken state after using his FR. I may not be correct at that part, but I think I am. Anyway, if you're using Gabranth, you want to break the enemy as often as possible, since two of his condition, one is naturally fulfilled since Gabranth always debuff the enemy, and the second one will be having to break the enemy. So you want to run re-breaking units such as Cloud of Darkness, such as Vayne, such as Lightning, or even Zell. But you can of course make everyone breakable by using Sephiroth BT effect, which will actually synergize really well with Gabranth. Sadly though, because Gabranth's break require him to do the break on turn, I don't think Caius would make it. Although I do argue that Caius might be able to perform the feat, but I'm not sure whether that will be possible, since Caius, I think it considers a little bit on the off turn side. I may be wrong, but anyway, let's hope I'm wrong, and then Caius can be really good here. And of course, if you want to go for old school style, you can run Aranea with her LD too. Anyway, the good part about this is that it's not a very unusual condition for you to fulfill. It's actually quite easy. Although those units that actually have this breaking mechanism, most of them is actually turn hoggers. And turn hoggers, you know, the issue with them during FR era is that they takes up so many turns that actually deplete the force time bonus rather quickly. But the fact that Gabranth's FR actually circles around breaking the enemy while his BT actually provide a protective crippling status to the enemy, it kind of don't go well together, I suppose, since you don't actually expect the enemy to get turns or to get a lot of turns while you're constantly breaking them. So that part, I would say, it doesn't synergize too well together. But nonetheless, Gabranth doesn't have to actually use his FR to be good. You can actually just rely on his BT plus to keep your party safe. Though I do argue that Gabranth has a ton of useless debuff, such as the attack down, the max bravery down, the defense down. It's not really that potent in this era. Although you may argue that attack down is his forte right now. But you can actually land more attack down with Vincent to further boost up the crippling status of the enemy. If you want to play with that kind of playstyle, that is. And of course, future FR viability wise, Gabranth does fare really well with Aranea, since Aranea actually requires you to delay or breaking the enemy. Although Gabranth doesn't actually delay, but he does have that breaking mechanism and actually increase quite a bit for Aranea, so I'll say that they could work well together. For this banner himself, I personally is not really interested in Gabranth. I pull almost everyone during Cam's burst phase banner, just hoping that I could get Cam's burst. But in the end, I actually max all of them, Cam, Dash, and Tidus in my main account. So it's going to be a very resources saving mode right now for me, for my main account, so that I can actually pull for Fujin later down the line. And of course, Charlotta and everything else. But for Gabranth's cycle, I'll be skipping Gabranth and Ursula for my main account. But for my alternate who skipped the entire cycle of Cam's burst cycle, I'll be going hard on Gabranth here. And I'll also be trying for the upcoming banners as well, which is Ursula. Hopefully I do get both of them rather early so I don't have to spend a lot of resources. I'll BT token Gabranth if I have to, just for fun. I don't think his burst phase or his burst effect or even his FR is actually worth going for, to be honest, but I want to try with some of the team composition that I have to see how good he will be. Though I argue that Gabranth is actually quite popular among the Dissidia franchise, so I think a lot of people will actually go for this banner, especially given that his super synergy, so he can make the farming a lot easier. Though I'll argue a little bit again that Layle actually can make the farming a lot easier than Gabranth, since he has quite a little bit of kit. Personally, I'm just going to run Root, Layle, and then Paine in the party, or maybe just put in Steiner, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, what are you guys' plan on the banner itself? Are you guys pulling for this character? He's a rather interesting character that I don't really see a lot of people using him in JP though. But anyway, I just hope that he'll be fun enough. Anyway, thank you again guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.